Sairam, brothers and sisters, Sairam. It's such a pleasure to be here and to see you all glowing and happy. Well, the topic is why fear when I'm here? This topic can be looked at in a number of ways. We know that in the Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, each shloka has very deep meaning. There is the literal meaning and there is an implied meaning. So this is a shloka. It looks like a question, why fear? But it is also a promise, and it is also a declaration, and it is a guidance, and it is a challenge. And at the same time, it is a mantra that is exceedingly powerful. Now, there are many kinds of fears. There is the bodily fear of harm, of death, of injury. There is the insecurity of insufficiency, the fear of public speaking, fear of disasters. Then there are global fears. So there are all kinds of fears. The fear of, Swami says that this is the age of fear and anxiety, and that we need to create Shanti, because this is the age of Ashanti. I trained as a surgeon, a logical positivist, not exactly a non-believer, but very heavily dependent on logic for understanding. And for a hard medical scientist to become a soft-hearted devotee has been challenging. So I'm going to talk about personal experience. There may be some experiences that you have either read about or heard from me, and I beg your I beg you for your indulgence if that is the case. Now, in this journey to Sai, to Sathya Sai consciousness, I have been guided with a gift. Now, Swami gives all kinds of tools for spiritual advancement. He gives rings, he gives earrings, he gives chains, he gives watches, he gives blessings of all sorts. And in my case, he gave a crystal Shivlingam. And I want to share the story of this in 1987. We came to Swami in 1987. When I came to Swami, I had come from a background of Mahayana Buddhism. And in that tradition, there are very powerful meditations on death and dying. And those meditations are for the discovery that we are not the body, but that we are a soul in transit towards eternity. So I was steeped in these practices when we came to Swami. And Swami obliged me with really vivid, powerful experiences, both in the dreams and in the real physical world. So let me share with you some of these experiences. At the dream level, he started to give me a number of dreams, one after the other. My meditation became more powerful. Experience of death and dying became very real. And then I'll share one of these dreams. In that dream, we were standing as a family, our daughter, son, Tessie, my wife, myself, and he gives Pad Namaskar to all three of them. When I tried to take Pad Namaskar, he said, no, your karma is finished. Right? So that was a bit of a jolt, that he wouldn't allow me to do Pad Namaskar because the karma is finished. That means that my life is coming to an end. And then he gave an experience which was real in the physical world. I saw accidents where I could not help the victims because I was not able to access them. As a surgeon, I felt powerless. A couple of women died in my hands on the roadside. I was unable to help. And at one stage, quite an unknown or very relatively unknown fellow who was a palmist knocked on our door on a Sunday morning, came in, and so we invited him in. We didn't know what business he had. He sat down and he said, I will look at your palm. So I gave him my palm. And he shook his head And he said, oh, fatal accident. I said, when? He said, soon. So I felt like giving him that accident, but I didn't. Anyway, Tessin would not accept this, so she went to Prasanthi. She was given an interview, and she said to Swami, she's very confrontational when roused. So she said to Swami, why are you giving my husband all these dreams? And Swami said, what dreams? He said, he thinks he's going to die. He said, no. He's not going to die. Look, I'll give you a Shivalingam. You take it to him. Let him the water. Let him do the puja and have water. And as you see, I'm standing in front of you alive. Now, that is a boon. That's a tremendous gift. Second experience of fearlessness was at the first conference in Prasanthi Nilayam on parenting, values parenting. Tessin and I were asked by our brother Hira to organize this conference. So we organized this conference, and that went very well. But at the end of the conference, there's going to be a valedictory talk by Swami. Now, Brother Bishu was saying that there is Bhaya and there is Bhakti. And in my case, my fear of Swami, a scientist, very doubtful, coming to see this magnificent individual who could do anything. So very full of fear, of, awe, really, of Swami. So on the last day, Brother Artong Jumsai came to me and he said, you're going to talk in front of Swami, 2 hours notice. And he said, you're going to talk about the conference. And my heart sank. I'm going to speak in front of Swami. What am I going to say? And he said this. He said, don't think he speaks through you. He said, I thought he speaks through, that's what he said. He said, I once thought that he speaks through me. I did not prepare anything. I went up, stood on the podium, opened my mouth, nothing happened. So he said, don't do that. Get a script. So I wrote a script. And we went to the hot day. Remember, sweating, heart palpitating, waiting for Swami. Then Swami comes up. My heart rate goes up several notches up. My blood pressure goes up. I'm hearing my heart in the ears. I sit down. And Swami says to Sri Indulal Shah, he says, what is the program? So Indulal Shah points at me and he says, Swami, before your valedictory address, he's going to talk. And I wanted to disappear into the ground at that moment. And Swami looked at me and he said, him? And would you believe it? When his eyes met mine, the fear completely disappeared. I felt so confident. It was magical, absolutely magical. And I thought, wow, this power is great. And I was able to do the address without any problem, and Swami was happy, I was happy. Now, what is the attitude to have towards our master, towards God, towards Swami? And this is the story of our daughter. She was 13 years old at the time in a private school, and the school had organized a skiing retreat. So she went there. She had never skied in her life. She went up there, and the first day she was falling about and very unhappy, and she had been given at an interview a chain by Swami with a pendant. So she held the pendant that night and said to Swami, Swami, please help, I'm calling you, you're not helping. So that night she had a dream, and I had a dream about her. She had a dream that Swami came to her dream and she said, look, I'm falling about, I want your help. Swami said, call me from your heart. Whenever you are afraid, call me from your heart. So she remembered this. The next morning, she was more confident. Instead of cross-country skiing, she went downhill skiing. She had never skied before. So soon she lost the stick. And she was sliding down very fast, gaining momentum, hitting a tree. And suddenly, from somewhere, from nowhere, someone came and pushed her down. So she rolled in the snow, unharmed. Shaken, stirred, but unharmed. And so she looked around, and nobody was there. So, no one is here. Now he is here. And her attitude was of total sincerity, of really having that in the heart. Now, there are many stories, and the time is very, very short. It says the time is finished, so I'll just wind up very quickly. At another episode, the evidence of protection came before the test. And I was preparing to go to the hospital in the morning, and a streak of vibhuti mixed with fresh kumkum and sandal paste appeared on my forehead from the nose right up to the very vertex. And I was astonished. I asked Sri Ramanathan, who was the central coordinator at the time, what does it mean? He said it's protection. 2 days later, I fell. I fractured both my elbows and my right wrist and my right shoulder. That was protection that Swami had given before. But that, having both elbows broken, I was able to reflect for a few weeks because I was even unable to wipe my nose or eat or clean myself or have a shower. And that changed me, that transformed me. Then I decided to dedicate my life entirely to Swami's work. From that moment on, that was my transformation. Finally, I'll give you one very short story, and that is Swami's omnipresence. Some of you may remember our first education conference in Canberra. At that conference, we had a closing address, and I was giving this closing address, and somebody took pictures. Chris took some pictures. And when he took the pictures, he developed the pictures. In those days, we didn't have these cameras. In the picture, Swami was standing behind me. Now, this really blew my mind, that not only is he there at a consciousness level, but he's also there at physical level. So, there are other stories that perhaps there will be another occasion to share. But one time I felt sick, and we went to Prasanthi. Swami said, "What do you do?" So I said, "I'm a doctor." He smiled. He said, "Doctor most of the time, but sick sometimes." And he gave me some vibhuti for that. Okay, so winding up, why fear I'm here? It's a question. It's a direction. It is a reassurance. It is a promise. It is a challenge. And it is a mantra. If we can visualize Swami helping us. मैं यहाँ पे हूँ, घबराओ मत, मैं जो हूँ. This is a Bollywood movie called मैं जो हूँ. I am here. So I think if we can think of that and say Swami is here, wherever we are, whatever time of the night or day, Swami is there. He is the repository of all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the power, all the Shakti, all the victories, all the triumphs. And if we can remember him when we need him most, you can rely on him, he will be absolutely there. Sairam.